For the first time in my life, I actually have understood how divine the Lord's plan is, because it's the first time that I actually can sit back after everything that has happened in my life and understand that because of the narrative that I was given in my targeting experience to help delay my awakening, right? Especially when I lived in Barcelona, I realized because the narrative was so ridiculous, this is the reason why now the Lord is using, I think, everything that has happened to me to basically, how should I say, push me forward even more, because it was the accusations, the slander, the defamation was based on something that was so ridiculous in order to hide the hand of God in my life, that anyone with common sense and also just me myself can disprove it easily. Okay, it's so much, how should I say, it's just basically ridiculous, right? But because it was in a different area, a different ley line, right, where the perception of people and prejudices and all of this made people more blind so that they would take anything they hear and run with it, made it feel like it could be a possibility when I was still in Barcelona. But as I glitched the matrix and I, like I said, came to France, and you see, like I've said, I've completely, pulled myself out of every single possible loop to the point where I don't even walk with a smartphone on me normally. Like if I walk my smartphone that I got once I arrived here in France does not have a SIM card that works, right? So if I do have to walk with it, it might just be to take a picture every now and then, or to use the calculator, which is rare, right? I actually walk with an old-fashioned phone. I've disconnected myself from everybody for the most part, moved, don't talk to anyone, don't mingle with anyone, don't look at anyone, don't listen right now to anyone. And like, that's why I'm telling you, and I swear to you, this is a SimCity world, sim world, right? And you see it even more. The glitch helped me to see it even more, because if the same things are occurring in another location, and all these like sims seem so invested in trying to distract you, in trying to make you re-believe in your narrative, and you sit to yourself and you're like, why are they so invested? People who you don't even know. Of course, these are demons. These are, demonic parasitics and vessels and all that. But I'm just saying, right? But like I said, things have happened. So many things have happened where even my kids have seen these things happen, right? And, I remember when I was in Barcelona and I used to cry. I used to, I'd be walking like 6 in the morning going to work to take the bus. And I would pray every morning, like, Lord, vindicate me, Lord, redeem me. Because when I was in Barcelona, and it felt really real, because whatever was going on, my cat, whatever was going on, like these rumors, this slander, like the other Sims were like believing it, and they were reacting to me in strange ways, like trying to avoid me sometimes, or whatever they believe. And like I said, and if you see the other videos, all of this was just done to hide the power of God, right? To hide basically the teachings of Christ, because obviously I've done the rags to riches story in Barcelona, and it's like now I'm in France, and it's like I have to do the French edition, I guess, from rags to riches, to demonstrate again that God is all possible. I mean, God is all powerful and all is possible through God and all of this, because people probably hear your story and they don't believe it because they figure like that sounds too strange. Like, how did she go from here to there? Especially if you are in a location where people don't do that. Like, people, they stay in their place and there's not a lot of transition. They don't break those generational curses. They don't move. They don't move up, right? They're so and so is in this condition. They stay in that condition, and that's kind of like the trend in their bloodline and their family, right? Whereas I don't know, maybe because I'm American as well, we do rags to riches all the time. But anyways, that's going into the ego. But you know what I mean? Like, so that's what my life feels like right now. I feel like I am in the French version of rags to riches again. You know what I mean? And I feel like because this, based on things happening around us, there's this big effort from the parasitics and the demonics trying to pull your attention in so many different ways. And you know what's a good example of how they try to do it? For example, like, let's imagine like something happens at the bank, there's some issue. They'll try to, even, since they can't distract you, pull down your vibration, like I always say. And right now we're in a full moon and all that, a lot of energy going around these weeks, right? So like it'll start with a bombardment from the bank. Then like at the same time, another place will call you and say like you owe this or this happened, or they try to like throw like a million things at once to try to see if that can like bring down your frequency and pull you into a state of panic or a state of worry. And at this point, like, I don't know, maybe that's part of the ascension symptom. So over it. Like, I'm over it. Like, at this point, I have already surrendered everything to God anyways, and I've done it before. Like, I've seen myself all, so many times be in situations where like I was like, oh my gosh, what? And like things worked out and God helped. And God put, no one's gonna hide the hand of God in my life, right? I am a witness. I can give testimony to that like, he walks with me. It always works out. So I'm like over it at this point. Like I remember like from before December, I feel like I lost all sense of fear. And I remember like one of the Sims even said that, like around like they said in it next to me, like, oh, she's lost all the fear or whatever. Like at that point there was like so much drama going on. I mean, I moved and everything, but like the sense of fear, like I was just kind of thinking to myself, like, I just leave it in God's hands. So I didn't have fear. So I don't have fear in that sense. The anxiety and the worrying and all that, like even more so, like I feel like it's like diminished a lot. And and the more I look at it like a game, I look at it as a game. Like, what are they trying to do? They're trying to make sure that these other Sims in this simulation don't get their hopes up, right? They're trying to make sure you're not the one to give them the hope. They don't want you to succeed because then all of the other ones are going to rise up and probably, of course, right, through Christ, understand that they are free and they can do the same thing. So it's pretty interesting. But the more I know that it's a game in that sense, even though you're getting these bills, you're getting these bombardments, like I said, pray in the morning to start your day off right. But, I just go handling it. I can multitask. I go handling one by one. I just, like I said, I don't stress about it too much. I feel like everything is going to work out. And that it's all being done anyways to throw you off so that you do not keep the frequency. So that your goal is to maintain the frequency, because that is the most important thing. That is what is going to help you shift this reality and keep everything in alignment. So I don't know if anybody has any other like examples of like symptoms of ascension, all that, like let me know. Yeah, but for the first time I could sit back and say, well, thank God that was my narrative, because that's so much easier to disprove in general, because that's not who I am. Like they picked the most random, they try to destiny swap or picked an identity that was so opposite of what I am that it makes it so much easier now to disprove it. And I say, thank God, because maybe if it was something else, it would have been worse. But, everything God does is divinely orchestrated. So never fret.